Welcome to CC UGC Gurukul lectures. I am Dr. Rekha Kashyap, Associate Professor from Department of Chemistry, Motilal Nehru College, University of Delhi. This is part 2. This is continuation to my previous lecture, part 1. Now I shall discuss the Government of India incentives in National Hydrogen Mission. Government of India in its plan for Atmanirbhar Bharat aims to make India self-reliant in its energy requirements from its indigenous sources and has the set up National Hydrogen Mission with the aim to generate clean energy from hydrogen, and in budget 2021 allowed MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Sources, a sum of rupees 25 crore for R&D on hydrogen. Government of India aims to grant PLI scheme to manufacturers of electrolyzers to incentivize green hydrogen production. Also, it plans to make mandatory use of green hydrogen up to 10% of the fuel requirements in fertilizer and petrochemical industry initially, and this ratio shall be increased steadily from 10% as the production capacity of green hydrogen increases with time in India. Niti Aayog and MNRE have made plans to shift from brown hydrogen to green hydrogen, and for this they have first targeted refinery sector as a low hanging fruit where cost impact by switching from brown to green hydrogen shall be minimum. Ministry of Power, Government of India has plans for strategic incentives to boost the production of green hydrogen under National Hydrogen Mission. Incentives granted are waiver of transmission charges on electricity used to produce green hydrogen so that production costs of green hydrogen becomes less. In addition, incentives have been granted to boost infrastructure at ports for storage and exports of green ammonia. Now let's discuss the decarbonization of energy sector by green hydrogen. Power generation using coal, natural gas, oil contributes 25% to greenhouse gas emissions EPA. Let us consider, for example, power generation from gas turbine power plants using compressed natural gas CNG. Let's blend green hydrogen with CNG in 30:70 ratio and calculate reduction in carbon footprint with that feasible fuel ratio. The energy density of blended natural gas plus hydrogen may need to be considered in calculating carbon dioxide emission savings if this fuel was used for power generation instead of pure hydrogen. 1 cubic meter of natural gas will provide 35.8 million joules of energy. 1 cubic meter of hydrogen will provide 10.8 million joules of energy. A 70 to 30% CNG hydrogen ratio blend will therefore have 28.3 million joules of energy, so 1.26 cubic meters of blended gas will have to be combusted to get the same energy release as pure natural gas. So natural gas combusted will be 1.26 into 0.7, that is 0.88 cubic meter, which is a 12% reduction in carbon dioxide, not 30% as per blended ratio. Now let's discuss the hydrogen in energy storage mechanism. Hydrogen once produced can be stored to be used to produce energy later when needed. There are physical and material based mechanisms to store the hydrogen. Hydrogen can be used as energy storage option essentially to meet intermittencies in RE power, solar, wind, etc. Hydrogen has important role in energy storage systems as India aims to have an installed capacity of 850 gigawatt by 2030 with 450 gigawatt from renewable sources. With this large share of RE power in total by 2030, we need to have huge energy storage mechanisms to take care of any eventualities arising in emergencies due to fall in RE power, as these RE sources are highly unpredictable and weather dependent. In such a scenario, we need to inject power into grid to ensure grid stability and prevent grid outages. Hydrogen can be liquefied cryogenically at minus 253 degree centigrade under pressure and stored in liquid state without deterioration almost indefinitely, and when need arises can be used along with fuel cells to generate electricity, which can be injected into grid to take care of grid fluctuations, thus ensuring grid stability and preventing grid collapses. Now this is a hydrogen fuel cell where hydrogen can be utilized to generate electricity. In this, the aluminum is the anode and oxygen derived from the air and passed through the nickel mesh acts as a cathode, and potassium hydroxide is the electrolyte, and this is a total recyclable fuel cell. This is another version of hydrogen fuel cell which has proton exchange membrane. Now, hydrogen at the anode forms the hydrogen ions and the electrons are utilized to generate the electricity. They come across the proton exchange membrane to the cathode, where they react with the oxygen to form water, and this is no carbon footprint. Now, what is proton exchange membrane fuel cell? Proton exchange membrane fuel cells are a type of hydrogen fuel cell being widely commercialized across multiple applications and business sectors. They convert the chemical energy of hydrogen fuel directly into electricity via a solid conducting membrane sandwiched between two electrodes. The hydrogen molecule donates its electron at the anode, leaving positively charged protons. Electrons travel through the circuit and protons through the membrane to the cathode, where they form water. The flow of electrons or electricity is the primary product of the fuel cell, with pure water the only byproduct. Each cell typically produces 0.6 to 0.7 volts, and by connecting a number of cells in series, fuel cell stacks of a desired voltage can be produced. Now, hydrogen as energy storage mechanism. Other storage mechanism can be interstitial metal hydrides. For the compressed gas method of storage, a wide range of storage pressures are possible associated with the type of storage tanks and type of withdrawal, that is used in fuel cell, use in generator or injection into natural gas pipeline. Now, this is hydrogen storage system which is of two types, physical based and material based. In physical based, it can be stored as compressed natural gas, it can be stored as cryogenically, it can be stored, or it can be stored as liquid hydrogen, whereas material based can be stored as adsorbent, as liquid organic, as interstitial hydride and complex hydride and chemical hydrogen. Now, let us discuss the decarbonization of transport sector by green hydrogen. Transport sector contributes 14% of all greenhouse gas emissions. Hydrogen based transportation has major advantages over battery based EVs, and whereas batteries in these EVs use lithium and cobalt, which are scarce and expensive, and importantly need proper disposal after use, as these metals are toxic and they need proper recycling to retrieve lithium and cobalt from them. Whereas the fuel cell used in hydrogen vehicles uses only aluminum, which is 100% recyclable and non-toxic. Hydrogen, when passed through the fuel cell, generates electric current, and this drives vehicle just as batteries in EVs generate current to drive a motor for traction of the vehicle. Now, the decarbonization of transport sector by green hydrogen. Hydrogen based fuel cell electric vehicles FCEVs have advantage of much higher mileage, that is 2 to 3 times, and faster charging as compared to battery based EVs. Thus, FCEVs using hydrogen as fuel cell have a great future. FCEVs using hydrogen have mileage and fueling rate similar to present petrol and diesel vehicles. Countries such as European Union, Japan and Australia have set up ambitious green hydrogen policy. Now, this is green hydrogen future of sustainable mobility, where green hydrogen produced from renewable energy using electrolyzer can be used in various transport modes. Now, let us discuss the decarbonization of industry by green hydrogen. Industry using natural gas and diesel as feedstock contributes 21% towards greenhouse gas emissions as per Environmental Protection Agency. Decarbonization of industry by green hydrogen. Green hydrogen can be used as feedstock instead of diesel and natural gas in industries like fertilizer and petrochemical and steel industry, besides in host of other industries. Let us consider example of fertilizer industry. The amount of synthetic nitrogen fertilizers used worldwide has grown 800% since the 1960s, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. That volume is expected to increase another 50% by 2050, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations FAO estimates. The urea sector contributes significantly to fertilizer production and consumption in the country. It accounts for 60% of the total fertilizer consumption and 50% of the total fertilizer imports in terms of volume. The total requirement of urea in India was 340 lakh metric tons during 2019 to 20. The average 100% carbon footprint from using, for example, ammonium nitrate fertilizer is 5.6 kilogram carbon dioxide equivalent to per kilogram applied nitrogen. Decarbonization of industry by green hydrogen. Fertilizer manufacturing and refineries consume 98% of India's grey hydrogen, so these are low hanging fruits and prime targets for use of green hydrogen. Ammonia is the main intermediary for nitrogen in all nitrogen based fertilizers. At present, hydrogen is extracted from natural gas, grey hydrogen, for conversion to ammonia and urea, making it a very carbon intensive process. This type of reaction is highly endothermic, requiring external energy when reacting. Decarbonizing the ammonia and urea processes would require production of hydrogen via electrolysis of water using clean sources of energy. Now let us discuss the decarbonization of fertilizer industry by green hydrogen. Urea is an organic compound composed of elements of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen by the formula CON2H4 or CONH2 whole twice. The raw materials of urea products are ammonia and carbon dioxide. Now this is a reaction. How the urea is produced from ammonia. Ammonia plus carbon dioxide forms ammonium carbamate, which decomposes to urea. Natural gas, a cleaner fuel compared to naphtha, is used as feedstock and fuel to manufacture urea as described in process below. Methane plus water at 700 to 850 degrees centigrade gives carbon monoxide plus hydrogen, and carbon monoxide plus water gives CO2 plus water. The process typically occurs at pressures of 30 to 35 bars. The overall process is highly endothermic, requiring large amounts of energy. The energy required is typically supplied by natural gas combustion up to about 30%. Nitrogen is separated from atmospheric air and along with hydrogen obtained as above from natural gas. Ammonia is manufactured by well-known Haber's process, which is highly endothermic and consumes energy. Ammonia plus hydrogen gives ammonia, and it takes 92 kilojoules of per mole energy. Reaction takes place at 400 to 450 degrees centigrade and at 200 atmospheric pressure and in the presence of iron. Overall reaction for urea manufacture is carbon dioxide plus ammonia gives ammonium carbamate, which decomposes to urea and water. Priority would be to start decarbonizing existing hydrogen demand, for example by replacing ammonia obtained from natural gas with green ammonia. According to a 2013 joint report from the International Energy Agency, the International Council of Chemical Associations and the Society for Chemical Engineering and Biotechnology, carbon dioxide emissions from hydrogen production accounts for more than half of those from the entire ammonia production process in total, from hydrocarbon feedstock to ammonia synthesis. Every ammonia molecule generated releases one molecule of carbon dioxide as a co-product. Now the decarbonization of fertilizer industry by green hydrogen. If therefore green hydrogen replaces natural gas, methane or naphtha as a feedstock fuel, then we would have zero carbon footprint in the making of ammonia. This is called green ammonia, and with carbon dioxide being obtained from any of the carbon capture and storage sources CCS, the urea manufactured would have no carbon footprint. This is thus one example discussed of decarbonization of fertilizer industry by use of green hydrogen. Now the challenges in hydrogen economy and its solutions. The foremost challenge is to bring down the cost of green hydrogen to be comparable and cheaper than the competing fuels. This, as discussed, the cost shall fall to less than $1 per kilogram by 2030 due to mass production of electrolyzers and decreasing tariff rate of renewable energy power. Second challenge in the hydrogen chain is that of storage, transportation and setting up of infrastructure for fuel dispensing stations. Efforts are underway to spruce up this chain. Japan is building ships to carry hydrogen and ports to handle hydrogen. Similarly, Norway is building pipeline to carry hydrogen. Initially, it is suggested to produce hydrogen in situ and use it so that no storage is required. However, the liquefaction process is energy intensive and requires well insulated, costly high pressure cylinders and storage tanks to minimize boil offs. Overall technology development can meet these challenges, and so the final picture shall be much better, practical and economical. Another solution touted is that existing natural gas pipeline can be used to transport hydrogen also. In fact, it is proposed to mix 10% hydrogen with CNG in existing natural gas pipeline. Hydrogen can also be stored indefinitely as liquid gas or as hydride in the form of ammonia. It is noted that converting power to hydrogen and then using the fuel to generate power has a relatively low round trip efficiency. Round trip efficiency is the percentage of electricity retrieved after being stored. The technology to convert power to hydrogen and back to power has a round trip efficiency of 18% to 46% according to data presented from the MIT and scientific journal Nature Energy. Hydrogen is emerging as one of the leading options for storing energy from renewables, with hydrogen based fuels potentially transporting energy from renewables over long distances, from regions with abundant energy resources to energy hungry areas thousands of kilometers away. Now let us discuss the safety of hydrogen in storage and transportation. Hydrogen is flammable with wide flammability range from 4 to 75% by volume and with low ignition energy, that is 0.02 megajoules. Hydrogen is safer during leakages than petrol and other fuels. If the leaked gas does not collect in a confined area, it is colorless, non-toxic and quickly disperses into atmosphere, thus lowering the chances of ignition. Chances of explosion arises only if leak is in a confined area with hydrogen collecting in space. The UV IR sensors are used for detecting hydrogen leakages. Now let us discuss the technical challenges on plant equipment. Technical challenges remain for the risk to some steels of hydrogen induced stress corrosion cracking HISCC. Under certain conditions, hydrogen can degrade the fracture behavior of many structural alloys, including many stainless steels, by causing brittle failure to occur caused by interface separation of grain boundaries. The use of HISCC resistant steel as a construction material would be the preferred way to reduce this risk, but some equipment and piping may not be suitable. Some blending of hydrogen has been used 5 to 15% into natural gas without substantial negative impact on valves or equipment infrastructure. The latest European recommendation is less than 6% compositional blending now, with targets on infrastructure materials to rise to less than 10% by 2030 and less than 30% eventually. Some technical advice on the use of conventional steel piping has recommended limiting operating pressure stresses to less than 30 SMYS specified minimum yield strength for blended natural gas plus hydrogen service. Now the conclusions. Hydrogen economy is a new frontier in decarbonized economy which aims for net zero emissions by 2050 and for sustainable development by clean energy and to meet Paris Protocol mandate. It tries to restore harmony between humans, and nature. These are very important conclusions. This thus sets the direction for energy production by green hydrogen and its utilization by industry and transport sector, the two main areas of consumption, to meet targets of Paris Climate Treaty with aim of maintaining global temperature below 1.5 degree centigrade of pre-industrial levels. The new technologies to utilize green hydrogen are mimicking Mother Nature, allowing sunshine and water to get electricity. Green hydrogen can play important role to achieve above goals. Green hydrogen is the most critical part of hydrogen economy and envisions future economy based on its extensive use. Thank you.